We hope that we can assist you with all your Coon Rapids highlights, even though the box is full of Cardinals. So celebrate with us as we bring you all the best stuff. It's Parents' Night, so make sure you smile for that picture, and make sure you always pin your hopes on us. Sportsnight is next.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sportsnight. I'm Joe Young.
And I'm Howie Shapiro. Joe, I always pin my hopes on you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
A ton of stuff to talk about. Clearly into tournament time in the state of Minnesota all the way around, and a lot of fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a pretty jammed show as well. So.
Well, we're going to start with state tournament, the Nordic State Tournament last week up at Giants Ridge. 3 Cardinals representing the red and white. For the girls, Stella Bone qualifying in the pursuit. She finished 61st overall. She was 55th in the Classic, finished 71st in the freestyle. On the boys' side, Alberto Ludwig and Lachlan Demmer qualifying in the sprint relay. They were 14th place overall. They were 6th in their qualifying heat, which was by far the fastest of the qualifiers. 4 of the teams in their qualifier made it to the final. But a great way for all 3 of them to finish their season.
Well done.
What a weird season it's been for Nordic ski enthusiasts in the state of Minnesota. But a lot of playoff action to talk about. We move on to the girls hockey team. Last Tuesday's section semifinal was a rematch, Bluebirds versus the Crimson for the second straight season. Maple Grove won the only meeting between the two this year, 5-3, and they came in hot, winners of 7 of their previous 8. The CPCR team would be hard-pressed to keep pace. Crimson get the only goal of the first period on the power play. It's their Miss Hockey finalist, Bella Shipley, scoring on the give and go, and she was just getting started. Very impressive young player. Late in the second, Shipley strikes again. Tough turnover for the Bluebirds. Shipley circles to the wall and comes right down the slot, ripping a wrister past Wastrel. That makes it 2-0. Bluebirds have a quick answer to that one, though. Right off the draw, they force the action deep into Maple Grove's end. Set up to Bernovic. She fires off the post and in. Fires off the post. Lily McKenzie able to poke the rebound in. CPCR back within 1 just 10 seconds later. Unfortunately, Crimson fire right back. Less than 30 seconds later, Shipley seals in the corner. Then watch her just slide out to the slot. Bluebirds lose her. They feed her the puck. She puts the biscuit in the basket. That completed the hat trick. She finished with 4 goals and an assist. And Baker comes up with a kind of backbreaker late in the second. The steal at the top of the zone goes in to score on the backhand, pushing the lead to 4-1. They had 4 in the final frame, ending the Bluebirds season with an 8-1 loss.
Yeah, Maple Grove's very impressive. They're good. They're a really good hockey team, and I think the Bluebirds came into this game thinking that I think they lost to them 5-3 the first time.
Correct.
And so figured they had an opportunity to keep it close, but Maple Grove had other ideas.
Well, the Crimson made sure that they finished what they started. They went on to beat the top-seeded team from Centennial Spring Lake Park 6-3 in the final, and they will be Section 5 AA's representative at this week's state tournament. And if I remember right, they got a tough draw, I believe Minnetonka round 1.
Yeah, it's definitely Minnetonka, the number 1 seed. So that's going to be tough. And I think there was made mention of that, the fact that I think Coach Coltis wanted to actually seed everybody, and it didn't work out that way. But hey, you gotta beat the best to win it all. So
true. And Centennial Spring Lake Park, there are only 2 losses all year, both to Maple Grove, once early in the season and once in the in the section final. But for the Bluebirds, a fantastic season, and they're still very young. A lot of promise for the future in the program.
Coach Ederman said afterwards that I can't wait for next season. Can't wait. Couldn't come quickly enough for him. Well, the boys team finished the regular season schedule with 3 games on home ice last week. We've got highlights from all of them. It started with a visit from Forest Lake on Tuesday. The Cardinals seemed to be a slight favorite, but would clearly be a tight battle between evenly matched teams. It's doubtful anyone predicted how this one played out. It was 2-2 at the start of the second, and these 2 offenses had barely started. Tyler Barsness able to get behind the defense. Strong move to his back end, and the Cardinals lead for the 3rd time, 3-2. Well, the Rangers, they scored the next 2 and led 4-3. Then Jack Ingberg stretches it right down the middle to send Barsness in on the breakaway. Quick shot, top shelf. We're even at 4. Now Forest Lake controls the late part of the period, though, and they score 3 times. Gunnar Bright with a steal and a finish. 7-4 Rangers going into the third. Now they're going to add it with a power play goal early in the final frame. Thomas Heichel with a wrist shot from the top of the circle puts the Rangers in front by 4. Now the Cardinals, they were down, but they certainly were not out. Watch the pretty passing play in and out of the corner. Caden Alphen finds Engberg with a wide open net as the comeback has begun. A little more than 10 minutes left. Pressure pays off. The Cards forecheck forces the turnover, and Barsness cashes in short side. His 3rd hat trick of the season, and it's 8-6 in favor of Forest Lake. Less than 3 minutes to go. Coming up here, puck poked free right to Trenton Tyson. He's off to the races, gets the backhander through the keeper, and all of a sudden, it's a 1-goal game again. We're going to move to the final 90 seconds. Cardinals with the keeper pulled. Caden Spidell able to control, get to the center, send it to the empty net. 9-7. Could have been the end, but it wasn't. Cardinals continue to attack into the final 15 seconds, get to the net. Good things happen. Eli Bowden nets his 2nd of the night, and it's 9-8 with 13.5 seconds on the clock. It's enough for one last chance. Right off the draw, Bowden crashes the lane. Kish with a race and sets him up, but Dietrich makes a last-second save, and the Rangers hold on for a wild 9-8 win.
Cardinals didn't have long to lick their wounds. On Thursday, they were back at it, hosting St. Cloud. This is another team the Cardinals couldn't overlook, even though they were below 500 and had lost 3 straight coming in. It was senior night at the Crick, and it's quite the senior class, so the ice was packed for the pregame ceremony. Cardinals start the scoring on the power play midway through the first. Bowden spins and loses it, but right to Golan. He finds Caden Alphen at the back door for the tap-in. His 20th of the season got the Cardinals started. And they add to it just 17 seconds later. Rowan Bresnahan from the top of the slot beats the keeper to the glove side. Cards up 2-0 after the first. And they continue to control the scoreboard into the second. Digging it free on the power play, Bowden sets up Alphen for his 2nd of the game. 6th time in 7 games that Alphen has had at least 2 points, and it's 3-0 home team. Speed and transition play, those are the Cardinals' calling cards, and they use them. 2 passes to go end-to-end. Tyler Barsness on the breakaway goes to the backhand. It's 4-0. St. Cloud scored twice in 17 seconds early in the third, but the Cardinals get one more insurance tally before the end. Zach Novak netting his first varsity goal to make it 5-2 with less than a minute to play. Cardinals score their 16th win of the season. A lot to unpack, Howie,
yes.
Especially from the Forest Lake game. They came in off of a loss to Armstrong Cooper.
Which is a surprising loss.
And both of those games, I think, are games the Cardinals really felt they should have won. Yep. And to lose the way that they did against Forest Lake was a head shaker, to say the least, but at least able to come back and get the win against St. Cloud.
Yeah, and I think they felt that obviously coming in, especially off that loss to Forest Lake, that they wanted to dominate St. Cloud. I know St. Cloud scored a couple of goals, I believe, in the third period to tighten it a little bit, but you wanted to make sure you got that win because it doesn't get easier from there.
No, and it's great that the offense that this team can generate is great, but when you give up 9 goals to
that's not good.
A team like Forest Lake, it's one thing, and I don't even know that it's really one thing to give up 9 to Centennial or 9 to a team like Forest Lake. But you never want to give up 9 goals, obviously.
No matter who you're playing.
But when you looked at that on the schedule, you definitely did not expect to be in a 9-8 game.
Definitely not. Well, a much tougher challenge for the Cardinals on Saturday. One of the top teams in the section came to town. The Rogers Royals came in ranked 9th in the state and riding a 5-game winning streak, during which they outscored their opponents 33-2. The Cardinals would need their scoring sticks to stay hot if they hope to keep pace. Cardinals started strong and dictated the tempo in the first 5 minutes, and it helps them grab the lead. Trenton Tyson scored from the hash marks, becoming the 3rd Cardinal with 20 goals this season. Unfortunately, Rogers controlled the rest of the period. Wagner with a save, but the rebound goes right to Parker Deshane, and the Royals' leading scorer puts in the wide open net. It was the first of 4 unanswered. Down 4-1 midway through the second, the Cards get one back. Jackson Barsness to Andrew Clark coming right down the slot and goes backhand for the goal. He's the 12th Cardinal hit double-digit points this year. The Royals not too worried. They add a couple more before the end of the second. Keaton Weiss gets the fortunate bounce on this shot. It's the second of 3 goals for Weiss in the game. Then stretching it out, the winning races, the Cardinals defenders don't pick up anybody. Baumgartner to Wonka for 1. That was way too easy. Rogers starting to run away, 6-2 after 2. Well, the Cardinals have a lot better spark in the third and skated right to with the Royals. Pretty passing play down the left wing. Barsnes finishes it out front. The assist was the 50th point of the year for Ron Bresnahan. Bresnahan starting it again from his own end. Engberg goes across to Tyson, and Tyson goes 5-hole for the second of the game. His second of the game. Cardinals score 4, which is good. Unfortunately, they gave up 8. The last one on just a bad giveaway behind their own net. Weiss wraps around to complete his hat trick. Royals cruise to an 8-4 win.
The good news is they played right with them in the third period and for the first half of the first period. Unfortunately, games are 51 minutes long, and if you can't keep pace with a team like Rogers, you're not going to go anywhere in the playoffs because guess who they will be visiting in the first round of the playoffs.
Again, Roger, but you talked about the fact they gave up 9 goals to Forest Lake, now 8 more here to the Rogers Royals, who they will
I didn't want to tip my hat to that because that was still coming.
Yes.
But yeah, 17 goals in those 2 games, 22 goals allowed in the 3 games this week. That's way more than they can give up coming into this week because now it's section time. And as I mentioned, they're going right back to Rogers. The Royals, the number 3 seed. The Cardinals, the number 6. Blaine and Maple Grove, the top 2 seeds, await the play-in games, which are happening tonight on Tuesday night. Blaine versus Irondale and Spring Lake Park versus Osseo. Champlin is the number 4 seed, and they are hosting Totino Grace. But as you look back on the season, and again, we brought up, of course, the recent pains of Armstrong Cooper and Forest Lake losses, but really look at it, Totino and Champlin Park. Those are 2 games in the section or early in the season that Cardinals could have easily gotten those, just as easily gotten those wins, and been in a different position, maybe a position to host a playoff game.
Well, exactly. I mean, those are, again, wins that you should have had. And now if you're looking at a 4 or a 5 seed versus a 6 seed, it could have mattered.
Well, but what matters most is that you've made your bed, now it's time to sleep in it. If you want to get to the state tourney, you want to make that dream come true, you have to beat 3 really good hockey teams because you'll have to go through all 3 of the top seeds to get there from here.
For sure.
Well, the wrestling team went into last week's section tournament as the 6th seed, drawing a first-round matchup with Andover. Cardinals won the regular season meeting by a single point. Now with the season on the line, every point would matter that much more. And bonus points were huge because only 1 of the 13 matches went the distance. Cardinals start right. Alex Zhang gets a Callan Wohlers in the cradle at 107 pounds. He did get the pin, but holds on for a solid 17-0 tech fall, 5 points for the Cardinals. Unfortunately, Huskies answer with 3 straight first-period pins. Cardinal captain Jack Bridenstine stops the streak with a pin of his own at 133. 18-11 Andover after 5 waits. But that's as close as it would get. Cardinals captains come up big in the clutch. Carter Skradsky has been outstanding all year. He gets a pin at the end of the first period at 160, almost making it look too easy. He almost started to get up before the slap was given, but he gets the pin. Third captain on the mat, Kenny Wells, and he's the 3rd captain with a pin. He finishes off Ben Highland in the first period as well. Cardinals' last captain is their heavyweight, and Hayden Skillings gets the 4th pin of the night for the Cardinals. Puts Jack Pena to his back late in the second, but Andover has 7 pins on their way to the 45-29 win. I don't remember what it was. 7 pins. I think 5 of their pins came in the first round.
Quick.
I don't know what the time was on the tech fall, but there was only one decision. It was at like 160 pounds, 150 to where it's somewhere in there, and it was a 3-0 decision that also went in Andover's favor.
Tough loss, but you're right though. The look on Skradsky's face is like, this is easy. I'm just waiting to get this over with and move on to whatever else I have to do.
Unfortunately, that was the end of the season for the team. Individual tournament coming up on Saturday in Anoka. Carter Skradsky, Kenny Wells, Jack Bridenstine, Hayden Skillings, your 4 captains, all have good chances to make a run at section and possibly get themselves into state. If you ask the 4 of them today, I guarantee all 4 would say, I'm going to state and I'm going to make a run at state. And that is the attitude they have to have, and we wish them all the best. And all the other guys as well. Alec Zhang has had a great season for him at 107. For sure. Who knows what that bracket will look like. But we will hopefully have highlights for you next week on Sports Night. Gymnastics team also competing at sections last week. Cardinals finished in 7th place, posting a 112.65, a little better than their lower scores, not quite their season's best. Good news is they had a different leader in almost every event. Kerfman was their top finisher in the vault. Barker was top on the bars and the floor. Smith-Jeanette was their top on the beam. Barker, Kerfman, and Angel Marshall also did well in the all-around. And that's the end of the season. Nobody qualifying for state, but hopefully there's a lot of youth in the program. Hopefully the girls will continue to improve and hope to bring in a few more athletes, as we talked about, another program that is really struggling with numbers.
Well, that would be key for them. And obviously you take what you did this season and as you mentioned, hope to improve upon that for next year and continue to develop your skills so you can get those scores a little bit higher, 120s and up a little bit more if you can.
Yeah, the high school season, regardless of the sport, is very short. It's what you do in the off season that makes the biggest difference. That is correct. Swimming and diving team, we'll get back at it this week. Sections are Thursday through Saturday at Northdale Middle School Pool. Hope to also have some highlights of that one next week on Sports Night. Boys basketball team, couple of games last week, started against Blaine. The border battle goes to the Bengals, 87-83, a tight one. Taken Plowman Tate leading the way with 17 points, had a couple of boards as well. Jerry Freeman had 14, a dozen for Jackson Young, and Jason Russ was the 4th Cardinal in double digits, but they ultimately come up just short. On Friday, they took on Centennial at the home floor, and they got right back to 500. And that's been the story with this team, really, trading wins for losses pretty much all season long. Connor Jordan, what a game. 24 points, 10 boards, and 8 assists.
Huge game.
Jerry Freeman had 17 points and 7 dimes. Jackson Young, 15 and 8 boards. Get right back to 11-11. Only a handful of games left for the young men. It starts this week at Andover and at Champlain Park. 2 tough conference games, both on the road.
And we'll be there tomorrow night, Wednesday night
at Andover.
Correct. Well, the girls basketball team wraps up the regular season this week with a pair of conference games on their home floor. Last week started with a visit from Blaine on Valentine's Day, and needless to say, there's no love lost between these longtime rivals. The Cardinals just hoping to keep pace with another tough conference opponent. The Bengals pounced to a big lead early. Caitlin Wozniak able to spin her way to the paint and score. That's going to put Blaine in front by a 14-2 score. Cardinals trying to keep the deficit from getting out of hand. Big basket from the perimeter. Jakaya Palmer hitting from way outside. Cards down 20-12 at that point. Now the Bengals, they're keeping control on the scoreboard. The growing lead in the first, Marley Jansen, with an open look from the wing, stretches the lead as high as 15. Cardinals staying scrappy. Rebound by Ben, up court to Green, and then over to Aaliyah Graham to finish on the break. 39-26 Blaine at the half. So the Cardinals trying to claw their way back in the second. They go to their big gun, and she delivers. Helen Ben strong in the lane for the bucket and the foul. Then Ben again has had a great season in transition, right down the paint for the basket, but the Cardinals never able really to threaten the lead. Blaine cruising down the stretch, great look to find Wozniak underneath. She scores to put Blaine up by 17 at that point. on their way to a 79-64 win.
Yeah, and Helen Bet 29 points and 15 boards in that game. Jada Gaskins just a couple of rebounds away from being in having a double-double as well. So really nice night for those two, but still come up well short against the Bengals. Unfortunately, the road got even tougher on Friday. Centennial having a really strong season, and the Cougars pounced on the Cardinals, 87-47 the final. Helen Ben, 19 points, 14 boards, another double-double. Jada Gaskins had 11 points, had a couple of blocks as well. Sophia Smith and Casey Beck each added 6 points, and Chloe Parrish had 3 points and 2 rebounds. But Cardinals now at 9-15, last 2 games, hosting Andover Wednesday. Huskies leading the conference, and then they host Champlin Park on Friday.
Yeah, they like to. I mean, Andover's gonna be a tough one. Andover's 20-4 going into this game, and hopefully they can show and put up a pretty good effort against them, and then Champlin Park.
And we'll see what happens when section seedings come out, because they haven't seen a lot of the teams in their section, if any, because they play 4A teams all year long. Will the competition level drop? Yes, considerably. Probably not. It'll be interesting to see how they're seeded because how little they've faced other 3A teams.
Yeah, it will be, and it depends on the kind of matchup. We were kind of looking at that. Maybe Fridley, we'll see. Maybe Becker, depending on how things play out.
Well, we hope to know more about that next week on Sports Night. Here's what we know for this week. We know we're going to be at Andover to see the Cardinals and the Huskies tip off at 7 o'clock live. And then it's playoff time for the boys hockey team on Thursday night. They're at Rogers at 7 o'clock. We will premiere that at midnight, as we can't air it live due to Minnesota State High School League regulations. Yeah. But that's going to do it for this edition of Sports Night. I want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN, for the entire crew, including Paris Foster behind the lens and Tom Cornell running the teleprompter. My partner, Howie Shapiro. I'm Joe Youngs. Thank you.